All right, welcome to Rapid Fire Manufacturing. Today I'm with Kevin Bowers. He's the Vice President of Research at the AMT. If you're not a member, you need to join. He's got an extensive background for machine tool OEMs and just being in the industry in general. So, Kevin, thank you so much for joining today.
Well, thank you for having me, David.
Let's start off because there's a lot of potential paths we can take. I want to start off first with your background, if you don't mind, just kind of how did you get into manufacturing?
Okay, well, I had my first job in machine tools in 2001. I guess the interesting backstory is I graduated from University of Illinois with a degree in Japanese. I went over to Japan for a year to work, and I came back and I was looking for work, and I found an opening in the spare parts department at S&K Americas. I started selling spare parts and learn about the machines. I did a few installations and things like that on the machine just so I knew, and then that kind of started. I grew as the company grew. We started to get a few more outside sales reps, and they needed to interact with Japan. So I kind of stepped into that role. So I grew that way into sales operations, and some technical program management. Then moved to Moriseki. Before it was DMG Mortgages, Moriseki.
Yeah,
Rose up through there. Was there when they joined with DMG. And I had ended up in the last 5 years running service and spare parts and the call center and such. And then in the pandemic, I decided to try something new. I kind of left machine tools per se, but not industrial equipment. I went to a company, another industry association that did a consulting for industrial equipment. Did that. And then 2 years ago this month, really, I joined AMT, and I thought it would be an interesting thing to do. I really enjoyed the association work because you got to talk to all sorts of people in the industry, as opposed to just being in a company where it's a little bit, you can't just call up your closest competitor and chat,
yeah.
right? We're all friendly, but, not that friendly. But in the association, I get to see what good looks like across all, and then help, everyone get a little bit better. So here at the AMT, I run the research department, and we have 10 people on staff, and we help our members and even, non-members with market intelligence and some of their data needs.
That's awesome. And actually, that's one of the things I've thought about. So this is for members, right? Where they can actually get reports from you guys. I forget the cadence, but they're actually able to utilize your team to do the research and get a bunch of data on the market, right?
That's correct, right? So we can do huge projects where we need, weeks or months to do the research and do the work. And those, it's a heavy lift, so we charge. But part of the entitlement to membership is you get some of these more bite-sized, chewable chunks of opportunities to talk to us, and we'll do a few hours of research every 2 weeks. So, those are included. So if you're a member, call us, we can help, right? And keep doing that on a continuous basis. So.
That's awesome. I guess explain a little bit more about what that entails, if you can.
Sure. So, we have this program, and, we get, I think, 350 requests from members every year about these things. And when they come in, we put them into buckets of like topics,
Yeah,
right? And they're anywhere from things like geographic analysis of the manufacturing technology market, benchmarking. At AMT, we run the statistical program, USMTO, cutting tool, and work holding, so we can help analyze some of those things, especially if you're a participant in those
hmm
programs. And we can help you on emerging technologies, additive, robotics, automation, digital, and AI and software. And then, market prospecting. Say we need to try to find, in every job shop in Ohio with over 50 people but under $40 million in revenue in these different NAICS codes, we can help you do those types of things as well. So you can, do prospecting and things of that nature, or try to just figure out the market size. All those things, fall into those buckets of, we can give you some amount of data in that 2 hours worth of research every 2 weeks. And then if you want to go bigger, we figure out a project and maybe quote it, or we, maybe step it over time. So.
that's awesome. That's such a helpful tool, especially like you said, for prospecting and just kind of understanding your region, right?
Mhm. And, some of that data, I mean, we have three sources of data. We have the proprietary data we have through those statistical programs. And as you know, we run IMTS, which is,
Yeah,
145 days away. Get ready.
it's crazy.
Uh, but then, we have a lot of verified third party data that we pay for, and, in our budget. And then we have quite a bit of knowledge of all the government data sets. Like if you go to some of the websites, there's like 834,000 different data sets. So for
Wow.
you, David, to try to figure out which ones are applicable to me and what do they mean and how are they collected and what does it really mean? Sure, you could do it if you had hours and hours and hours. We've done it so much. We know here's the ones we need. We tie that with these other ones and we can get, quickly to where you need to be. So that's what we do.
That's awesome. So one of the things you just had a webinar, right, where you were speaking on tariffs too. Would you mind kind of I know we're shifting a little bit. Could you talk about that a little bit? Because that's a
Oh, no worries. It's I think it's a topic that's top of mind
yeah.
of not only our members that are a lot of them, either import some of the things they need to make their equipment here in the States or, their, equipment is made overseas, but also their customers are doing the same types of things. So it's applicable to the whole market. But we had two speakers from K&L Gates, a global law firm that has, spoken for us in the past at different conferences and such. And we talked about kind of the tariff landscape and we went
Yeah.
down the rabbit hole on two things, but, generally we talked about the IEPA, the reciprocal tariff refund process, because that opened this month or this
Okay.
week, actually, April 20th. So people that paid, if you remember, in April a year ago was Liberation Day, where the administration announced, tariffs in every country, right? Some 20%, some 30%, 50%, 15%, and that was on everything. So people started having to pay that on anything they imported. Well, in February this year, the Supreme Court said they weren't legal. So they overturned that and it went through some processes, but ended up with the Customs and Border Protection Department had to create this refund mechanism, and it opened on the 20th, and people can start filing for refunds, and it's massive. I think they
That's their
said
the full
330,000
amount too. Like they're not
full plus interest,
plus oh
plus
wow.
interest. So I
Okay.
think
Wow.
the refund universe was 330, I think 330,000 companies filed in that period for $166 billion worth of tariffs and 53 million imports. So, each one of those 53 million had to be processed. So they have this automated system and, it'll be opened in stages, but the first stage covers about 63% of them. So that has started. Now, a lot of the questions we got into is the process, what to do, what ones you could do now and do not do now. And then one topic we're writing an article for AMTonline.org now, but like you get that money back. Now it's not clear, but I think, odds are your customer paid some portion of that. So now they're going to expect it. And there's been a lot of lawsuits on the more consumer side. You see people are suing Costco and UPS saying, once UPS gets the tariff money, you got to give it back to me because you charged me for it. So
Oh,
there's a lot going on here that you have to think about and talk to legal counsel and your customs broker. So we spent probably 30 minutes of the 50 minutes on that topic, and we had a lot of questions. And you can go, if your listeners are interested, you can still go register and watch it on demand if it's of interest, which I assume probably is.
Where would that
We
be
talked.
at? I guess
If you go to amtonline.org and then up at the top, it says events, and then you go to webinars, and then you'll find it, maybe the third one there. It says AMT webinar presented by K&L Gates, something about uncertainty in the trade and tariffs. So we talked about that. Also, I think something that your company's used to, a lot, steel and aluminum tariffs are on everyone's mind, the Section 232 tariffs. We talked about that. There's a big change this April about what is applicable to, how you pay it, how much you pay. And one of the things we talked about is right now it's just the president made a proclamation and said all these things, but the Customs and Border Protection Department hasn't made clear guidelines on what those mean. So right now, what everyone in the two lawyers we had is said, this is our reading and understanding of the proclamation, but another one may have a different one. So there's no set guidelines. So you have to just make sure you talk with your brokers and all those types of things, because I think there's maybe a little bit of relief for, say, people importing machine tools, but for people just importing, raw steel and aluminum and stuff, and now it's 50%. It's so a lot going on. And we talked a little bit about the new USMTA, the trade agreement with Canada and Mexico that replaced NAFTA, is starting to be renegotiated. So that may have some impact on people that import or export things to Canada or Mexico. So we spent a good 50 minutes, 55 minutes of a 45-minute webinar talking about that.
Nice. Yeah, I will. I'll make sure when I post this, I'll put the link in there too for everyone so they can watch it. Talking about IMTS, because that's obviously a big topic, and you guys
Mhm.
um, put that on every year or every 2 years. So could you tell me, like, what should people? Are there any best practices that people should follow before going to IMTS? Maybe it's their first time.
So the
Is that a
best
good
one is
topic?
register now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, register now. I mean, the show's not until, we said 145 days to May, but register now. I think there's actually even early bird pricing. But then once you register, you set up your account, you can start to build your agenda, right? What are you interested in? Are you in CAM software? Are you interested in machine tools? Are you interested in laser cutters? All of those things there, and a lot of most of the booth space is sold. So who you're going to see is pretty much there,
Yeah.
right? So you can already start to plan, think about what you want to do. There's an app that you can download. Well, also has your agenda. So make a plan, right? And a lot of the exhibitors have these things called the digital showroom where they talk about the things that are going to bring, what you're going to see, and things of that nature. And you can go there and kind of get a preview of what's going on, so you know where you want to go. But it's huge, 1.2 million square feet. It's not something you walk in a day. I mean, you're going to get easily 30, 40,000 steps in if you try. So you should
Yeah.
try to plan for maybe a couple parts of a couple days if you can. It's also on Saturday, so you don't have to you don't have to miss work to go. You can go on Saturday. So plan to spend a couple days because there's a lot to see, and you can do a lot on the internet, but you can't have face-to-face conversations and go down different paths. So in person is still pretty critical to this. Because uh, you need a relationship, with who you're going to buy from. So it's important that you see people face to face, and it's a good opportunity. You can go see a bunch of different technologies in one shot instead of traveling to 4 or 5, different facilities over a week. So you can knock a lot of this out in one time, and you can bring teams and divide and conquer and things of that nature. But start now, plan now, especially if you're coming from far away. Hotels are open. You can book your hotels through the website and get, better deals. So everything's there to help it make it a great visit. You just got to do it. So, but the early bird gets the worm in regards to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. And to your point, not that I have plans or yeah, to get a Rolls Royce, but you're not gonna you're gonna go to actually see one, right? So if you're gonna spend $500,000 on a machine or $1 million or whatever, anything in between, unless like you want to physically see that machine,
Right.
also all the machine tool builders, so you can go around and see everyone's product or cutting tools or whatever. So
Yeah. And also you have a need now, but obviously I think everyone has the fundamental drive to grow their business. You should have a 5-year, 10-year plan and and go start to see, hey, in 5 years, this is where I want to be. So this is the type of stuff I need to have. So there's inspiration here, right? Go see what would we be like if we grew, 15% the next 3 years. We could get into this area, get into this. Maybe we start to do this. Maybe, you can get some inspiration and some ideas here. And then we also have the thing called the ETC, where we kind of try to show what's way out there, maybe 10 years out there. And this year
okay.
it's a combination of Oak Ridge National Lab, FANUC, and Mazak. They're going to put some sort of a cell together to kind of show what's possible out there. And then and also an additional focus on AI. That's all you hear about now, but it is a useful tool if you use it right. So we'll have a focus on it there as well.
Very
So
nice. You said it's ETC?
yeah, Emerging Technology Center or something like that. So
Nice. Okay.
if you're familiar with the layout of IMTS and McCormick Center, when you walk down the center you got the South Hall on your right and the North Hall on your left, right there before you go to the North Hall, there'll be this ETC. 2 years ago, if you remember, they had an Okuma machine and a Lincoln Electric additive type thing and a CMM and things all in a cell, kind of showing the future of additive and subtractive machining together. So we'll have another interesting display this year.
That's sweet. I'm excited to see that. Um, Topic to transition into maybe sales, because you're a sales leader. Like, what do you think advice that you would give someone maybe just getting into the industry that's approaching sales? Because sales doesn't apply just to your sales role. That's if you're a business owner, if you're a buyer, seller, like everyone has a part to play in sales, whether we you know think about it like that or not. We all contribute to sales in some way.
Everyone's a salesperson,
Yeah.
right? Regardless of your role. Anytime you touch a customer, whether it's, answering the phone, selling a part, fixing machine, selling machine, you're doing applications, doing whatever, everyone's in sales. You always have to put your best foot forward. I remember one piece of advice I got from a boss a long time ago in regards to this. He goes, "You're a TV, you're always on. So always, whenever you're out there, professional, best foot forward, think about what your company wants to present to the market and always do that. You're always on, even when you
Yes.
think you're not in the corner of an airport writing your notes, be professional. It's helpful. It's a good philosophy, I think. So, but really, I think the best thing you can do is read. The people you talk to, their industries, get a cursory knowledge. You don't have to deep dive, but you should be able to talk about it for 30 seconds. Hey, I read in the Wall Street Journal that steel prices are up or whatever. How's that impacting you? Ask one or two questions and show that you have done your homework and some interest. It goes a long way. And if you get too deep, say, hey, be honest. I don't know all that, but I've been trying to learn your pain so that, I can help you. So I think reading is easy. And, when I started, there wasn't a lot of, make myself sound old, but we didn't have a lot of apps. We had the internet, but I mean, you had to get the papers to do this stuff. You can get all these apps on your phone and do it, the night before, the day before. You have a schedule, do your homework, I think is the other thing.
Well, and now even with AI, you can have it, hey, what's some news that's affecting manufacturing today? And just listen to it on your way to a customer or whatever your drive. So,
Oh yeah,
I
don't
mean,
read
there's like,
everything to you. It's
yeah,
amazing.
there's no
It's like your
excuse
own
now.
personal assistant, right? It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm interested to see how it plays out too, because I feel like there's no excuse to not be able to be up to date on everything with your customers, right?
Right, and do your homework because A is not always right. So you have to have at least a cursory knowledge to think like, "Oh, I just heard that. That can't be right because I read something else somewhere." So you need to do a little bit of your own homework and combine it with that. I think is pretty powerful. But you still have to have that critical think, the ability. I mean, the foundation to have that critical thinking of. You just said that this is what's going on. I don't think so. But you can also ask it to cite its work and
Yes,
where it got it from, and then follow up. Right? I don't think just don't critically think about what you hear, right? I think that's just a life lesson, not just a sales lesson, right? So,
absolutely. And as far as the industry in general, have you seen it change from last year? What have you, some insights that you've, based on all the research and stuff too, have you seen?
well, if you look at it, in spite of all the headwinds with the new administration and their tariff policies and things like that, when you look at what the USMTO are, the kind of the bellwether the statistical program we track for orders and manufacturing technology, it grew 22.5% over 2024. So it's like, wow. And then we're 2 months of data in and we're up about 20, I think another 26%. So in spite of everything you hear, it's not going well, whatever, it's a good time to be in manufacturing. So I
Yes.
think we're growing. So, of course, listen to what's going on, but don't let, let it be self-fulfilling. Oh, it's crappy out there. So things are going to turn to crap. Just, you have to be positive. And, I think our CEO, Doug Woods, gave a speech and it's like, the manufacturing technology or the manufacturing ecosystem is $2.9 trillion United States.
Wow.
If you rank that as like a country's GDP, that'd be the eighth biggest in the world. So just our manufacturing sector, is huge, right? And it needs
Yes.
support and keeps growing and people keep consuming things. So they need to keep making things. And, nothing gets made without manufacturing technology, right? So
Absolutely.
that's what I see.
Yes. Something that jumped out too is you're dealing with a lot of different companies, all sizes. Have you seen anything that has helped draw in the next generation? Because we're seeing the silver tsunami, they call it. So it's like, how do
Right.
we draw in the next generation? Because I feel like that's so critical right now.
It is critical. And we were talking a little bit, before we jumped on the recording here, everything we do now is tech. And I think the younger generation expects it to be high tech,
Hmm.
right? They grew up with all these devices and all this stuff, and my children can run their iPads better than I can. So they expect it. So I think if when you're trying to recruit younger generations, you got to lead with the tech that you have. And if you don't have tech, you better get it,
Yes.
right? Because the days where people think running a machine or whatever, a factory is dirty, it's not. You ever been to a medical manufacturer in Warsaw, Indiana?
Yeah.
Cleaner than your house,
Micropulses, they're,
right?
yeah, recently.
So you have to lead with tech. And I think, I remember, when I used to be with some of the builders, we'd have like, high school kids come in and sometimes their parents come in. It wasn't the high school kids that were against it. It was their parents. They still had that mentality that this is all dirty, terrible, but it's not. It's well paying, it's clean, it's safe. And, on some level, it's, somewhat patriotic. Our economy needs to make things. We can't just, as we've seen, you can't rely on others to do it. So it's for the greater good. So I think lead with tech and make friends with your local community colleges that have those 2 years associates kind of tech mechatronics things. And, go there. They always have fairs. Go there, talk to people, show people what they do, get your, job shop's name out there, your builder's name, your company's name out there. Just go visit and talk to people.
Yeah, and one of our mutual connections, Joshua Windrick, he does that all the time. He'll
Hmm.
sponsor events, and he never wants credit, so he'll try to separate from that. But um, yeah, you're right. It's trying to connect things in the community because I think that's, I mean, overall, just a great thing to do.
Right. And, I know, like I said, Josh, and he has a lot of passion. I think people respond to that. If you just go there and kind of monotone, like my boss made me go to this, it's not going to work. But if you go there and show how passionate and excited you are and how much you really love what you do, it's infectious. You'll get people to do that. And, there's this whole debate is, college versus trades and stuff, but it's appealing to not come out of college. I have a daughter in college. She's 3 out of 4 years in, and she's going to come out with some challenges,
Yeah.
right? When you can, a lot of the both our members and, manufacturers are starting to build apprenticeship programs where they're going to pay you to learn and work. So take advantage of that kind of stuff. You don't get that deal very often. I think that be passionate about it, lead with the tech, and you'll probably grab a few.
So, and that's something I noticed. I think that's different about the US than in Germany. In Germany, they're like, we're going to train everyone really well. Here, we have that mindset. It's like, oh, we're going to train them up and they're going to leave. But if everyone trains them up, it shouldn't matter. We're going to share talent. I don't know
Yeah,
your thoughts on that.
there's that, I don't know. I'm going to try to say it right. That meme where it's like the CFO says something. Well, what if we train and spend all this money on training and they leave? And the CEO says, what if we spend all this money and they don't? The benefits far outweigh some of that stuff, and you're going to learn along the way and make everyone a bit more, you know, productive. So maybe you can, impact a little bit of that. But, people want to know there's a career path when they join. So if you, lead with the tech, show them that there's training and all these things, so you hopefully build a good culture where they want to stay, right? Oh, I'm constantly learning things. And, we're not in the 40s and 50s where you start one company, stay there forever. But, a good run, 5, 7 years is helpful for the company, also helpful for the person doing it. So I think you're foolish to not invest in training. I think like training's your biggest, most sustainable competitive advantage, really.
Absolutely. So, is AMT doing anything with workforce development?
Yes, and I think the biggest thing is the Student Summit IMTS. I think there's anywhere from like 18 to 24,000 students that come from all over the
Saw a lot
country,
last time I was there. Yeah, it's awesome.
there. And everyone, a lot of builders have booths down there, and colleges and community colleges, and NASA, I think, has a booth down there. So STEM, everybody's down there, and it goes really well. And I think it's important to do that, to show them what's possible, and they get to see all the tech there in one spot. Is great. So that's been a thing that Kat Ross runs for us here at AMT. She does a tremendous job with it, and it's going to be bigger this year too.
That's awesome. Yeah, kind of jumping back to what you were saying before too. I think as parents, it's up to us to educate ourselves in manufacturing too. Like educate the parents so that they don't put that in their, kid's head like, "Oh, don't do that. That's not a good trade. That's a dirty, dangerous
Hmm.
job." It's like
Right.
get them out to a facility and see that it's not like that. I mean, yeah, certain forging facilities or foundries may be dirty, and I'm not sure that
Right.
we can really.
It's not a short-term fix for that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But um, in general, it's safe. It's clean, and there's a lot of opportunity. And also, you don't have to be a machine operator. There's all sorts of jobs in manufacturing. You could be an accountant, you could
Hmm.
be an HR, you can do all these things. Just because it's manufacturing, everybody thinks it's like 100% people like doing manual labor. It's not. They need all those support back office jobs as well, and our members need that stuff as well. So just because you're good at math doesn't mean you can't get a job in manufacturing. They need data analysts and all this type of stuff. There's more data to play with in manufacturing than most other industries. So it's not just operators and service techs and application people. There's all sorts of, sales, administration,
Hmm.
HR.
I had a
So
student at a job fair recently walk by the booth and he was like, "Oh no, I'm not doing that." I'm like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, marketing." I'm like, "Who do you think made all this stuff that's behind me?" That's all. There's whole marketing teams. Like, it's not just someone, yeah, working on the shop floor. There's
yeah,
everyone. So,
100%. I mean, MTS obviously huge. That's the biggest thing, if you remember, engage with us, and that's how we just decide to talk about other things and do webinars and things of that nature. So we love when people ask us questions so that we get a pulse on the industry and figure out new trends and kind of be out there on the tip of the spear so we can start to talk about it. After IMTS, way down the line, we in October we have our forecasting event, so that would be helpful for your end of year planning, right? What industries are going to see how much growth and things of that
mhm.
nature. Obviously this year will be midterm elections, so there'll be impacts there. So, if you go to amtonline.org, most of the stuff is laid out. We're pretty good at creating content. This year at AMT, we're starting a new project where we're going to start to build these state up reports, and we're going to build 4 of them this year. The first one about additive manufacturing is out. You can go to our website and read it, but the next one will be about automation sometime in the summer. Then we'll have one about AI and digital manufacturing right around IMTS time. And then towards the end of the year, will be kind of a companion piece to that forecasting conference, kind of like the outlook. So these are, I mean, they're not short form. I think they're 34 pages and words or so. So
Oh,
pretty deep
nice.
and
Okay.
a lot of research and numbers and data in there. So it should be a good read. So
Yeah.
download it and give us feedback. And this is a new process. So we want to make sure we keep iterating and getting better. But we have smart people on the team, and we want to get some of that knowledge out there. And then uh, appreciate any feedback.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're getting a tariff return, why wouldn't you join AMT? So you're
I
getting
love that.
interest on it. Yeah.
That's right.
Pay for a
Yeah,
membership.
exactly. Exactly. That is a great line. That article we're writing, maybe we'll leave with that.
Yeah.
Don't know what to do with your refund? Here's a link to the membership page.
Yeah. I know when everything was going on with like the pandemic, what were the stimulus checks? There we go. Yeah. Everyone was like hopping on, making commercials for like cars, like, "Hey, you just got your refund, buy a car." So
Right.
it's no
Yeah.
different.
It is.
Tariff refund. Well, awesome, Kevin. Appreciate all you're doing in the industry, and yeah, look forward to getting this out and getting some feedback on it, and seeing it you at IMTS. And
Oh, yes. Yep. It'll be here before you know it.
all right, awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.